What's up, guys? I'm back with another movie review. Today I've got one from Arrow Video, and it is called Animal Factory. This is a prison movie directed by Steve Buscemi, and it's got an incredible cast of characters in it. The story revolves around Edward Furlong, who plays Decker. He's kind of a rich kid who found himself in prison on some drug charges, and the system kind of made an example of him because he seemed like he had every opportunity, to do right in life, and he still ended up, breaking the law. So he's definitely not a kind of person who's equipped to make it in prison, and he quickly finds that out when he's kind of preyed upon by different factions. At one point, he's kind of being lured into a beat-down rape situation, and he goes to kind of one of the shot callers of the prison, who's played by Willem Dafoe, and he's like, "Hey, I need to get a knife," and Willem Dafoe's like, "Hey, I'll give you a knife, but let me handle this for you." And they end up becoming kind of like friends, and Willem Dafoe takes Edward Furlong under his wing, and the rest of the movie is Edward Furlong trying to survive and trying to kind of stay out of trouble so that he can meet his parole and get out of prison. This is a good movie. It's a very grounded, serious take on prison movies. It's not like an action movie or exploitation movie like a lot of them are. I think the narrative is pretty strong. The only issue that I kind of have is that there's really no reason for Willem Dafoe's character, who's ordinarily kind of like a selfish, self-centered kind of guy, just to take this kid under his wing for no real reason, as he's not really getting any benefit other than friendship. But sometimes people do unpredictable things in life, so you can kind of overlook it. It's definitely not a flashy, stylish movie. It almost has like a gritty, almost documentary feel to it. It's definitely not a movie with a lot of visual flourish or whatever. The pacing is fine. It's a little bit on the slow side, but that's because it is a character-driven drama. It doesn't have a lot of violence in it, very little blood, but it does have some sudden bursts of violence, and it has a crazy scene where Willem Dafoe spreads blood all over his cell, makes it look like he's eating his own shit. There's just a lot of weirdness in that one scene, but otherwise it's a pretty grounded, serious take on the whole prison life situation. I liked it. I thought the cast was great. Mickey Rourke is a really colorful, wild, over-the-top transvestite that's Edward Furlong's roommate. He's got some really crazy lines in it. Otherwise, the dialogue is, again, serious and pretty grounded. But it's got Willem Dafoe, John Hurd, Danny Trejo. Tom Arnold is actually in it, and he has kind of the role of kind of a sexual predator, and surprisingly enough, he's pretty good in it. I would say this is probably my favorite role he's ever had, especially for sure his best dramatic role. So it's got a deep cast. It's got a good story. It's again, it's not really a super stylish movie or that interesting from that perspective. So but that kind of puts the focus on the story and the characters, which is where it belongs in this case. The Blu-rays from Arrow Video. I don't have a disc to show you because all I had was the check disc that they sent me. But the transfer looks fine. This movie does not have, like I said, it's not a visually charged movie. So the new HD transfer looks good, but it's not really all that remarkable because the movie has kind of a restrained, almost like documentary feel to it. So this transfer is not that great. But again, I think that's an issue with the source and how the movie was shot rather than the transfer itself. It's got audio commentary track, behind the scenes, interviews, trailers. So it's a pretty decent disc overall. But again, this is maybe not a movie that is an absolute must upgrade for Blu-ray. Although I'm sure people still will because the packaging is nice and, Arrow puts out some good work. But this movie just doesn't benefit that much from HD, unfortunately. So as far as recommending it, I would move it down your list and maybe choose some movies that are a little more suited to, to take advantage of that extra resolution than Animal Factory is. But the movie itself is pretty good. I would definitely recommend it if you're a fan of prison movies or any of the major cast members involved. That's my review of Animal Factory from Arrow Video. I did a full write-up of the movie at markfusion.com, my movie review website. I'm also on Instagram, Twitter, or Twitch at markfusion. I'm also on Patreon if you want to get exclusive content. But as always, the best thing you can do to help me out is just to hit that sub button. It's free, it's easy, and you can kind of take me under your wing as I navigate the prison of YouTube. That one was a real reach, sorry. But anyway, thank you so much for watching these videos. I do greatly appreciate it. And if you do like them, please do press that sub button. I would greatly appreciate it. And hopefully, I will see you guys soon.